Hello, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. We will, if we're all here, we'll open the meeting and get started. Thanks to Melissa for circulating the agenda and minutes this morning. Appreciate that. And I hope everyone's okay. Now, we have, let's just do our acknowledgement of country and then we get to. All right, so Mid-Murray Council would like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional custodians of the land, the Nadjeri, the Nawal, Ngunnawal, Ngurkat, Ngarrindjeri, and Peramangk peoples of the Mid-Murray lands and waters. It's upon their ancestral lands and waters that the Mid-Murray Council meets and operates. And Council pays respect to elders past and present and their spiritual beliefs that are of continuing importance to those First Nation peoples of today. Council further acknowledges the contributions and important role that First Nations people continue to play within the community. And we extend that respect to any peoples in attendance here today. Very good. Now we have an attendance record here. And just to list the apologies again, please.
So they've got Greg, Bill,
and Bill, yep.
and Ben. Apologies.
Fantastic. All right. Now we have confirmation of minutes. So minutes were circulated from our meeting of the 27th of May of this year. Can I have a move and a second of those minutes are true?
I moved it.
Thanks, Chris. Move, Chris.
Ross.
Oh, Councillor Ross, thank you very much. All right then. We'll probably deal with any matters. I think we'll deal with the matters in those minutes here today. Is any member want to declare any interest to these matters here today? Very good. Deputations, we have nil. Now, 7.1, Dark Sky Strategy and Action Plan Progress Report. Can I kick across to Jared or to Gary to speak to that report, please?
Sure. Yep. So obviously it's an update of where we are currently, what work has currently been done to date. There's a couple of reports there, the formation of the government's body, which is in there. We do have a separate report for that, agenda item 7.4. Just working through the LED program, rollout program, that is just about complete. We have 3 lights left remaining to be upgraded. And Chris and I were just talking that feedback appears to be quite good that we've received from Don and Andrew Cole, saying that they've seen a significant improvement, which is fantastic. The smart cell technology is still to be included, installed in Cambrai, Sedan, Walker Flat and Swan Reach.
Do we know when that's going to happen?
I haven't got a time on that. The Protect Our Night Sky, so council staff have written and submitted a letter to Tony Zappia. So fantastic cause that what is putting his motion up on Monday night. So we have submitted a letter of support in that case as well. Brand building again. So this is, we've incorporated the brand. We've changed a bit of a tactic with this. Is now we're putting it as part of the broader Mid-Murray Tourism Precinct Planning Project. That will all be incorporated into that, as well as the amended alternative logo. And that will go out as part of the public consultation period when they're going out with the tourism precinct planning project.
Can I ask a question? Is there a reason you're not using the 21.9 as a logo, or
This is
the
for
council has a trademark for that?
So the logic was that this is a broader visual identity for the dark sky in terms of the planetarium observatory and all the connections with it in terms of communication and styling.
Right.
The 21.9 would be a sort of sub-element of that.
Okay.
So, and more so probably towards using it as an accreditation for operators within the reserve.
Okay.
So once those, that public consultation has been undertaken, those outcomes will be then presented back to committee for consideration. Since the adoption of the dark sky trademark policy, we've received 2 applications, Chuckle House Experiences, Kelly Coon and Mid-Murray Landcare. Land use planning. Sure, people are just as take that as read. That it was very disappointing with the response that we got. Unfortunately, so we are still seeking other funding opportunities out there. We have submitted a grant application through PERS's Enabling Infrastructure Stream. We won't find out about that, whether the council's been successful, until February next year. I did have a meeting with PERSA late last week, and they have advised me that we have got past 2 of the panel interviews. So we have progress past those 2. So that's taking it as a positive sign that they haven't shut us down completely for it.
So on that, Jared, so second paragraph on this point, so Nick Champion notes that due to the draft Murray Valley Regional Plan, putting this back onto council. Now that is no longer a draft, that's now been.
It's still technically a draft. It went into cabinet. Had a briefing from the department last week. So they said it went into cabinet. Cabinet had a couple of queries around some of the population projections within the regional plan. But they're anticipating that it will still get to the point where it will be adopted by December this year.
Okay. So this champion's not going to wriggle on the fact
No.
it's still a draft and no.
Correct.
So that's fairly evident. Okay.
Just wondering whether, a comment, I guess, rather than a question. At the conference that I went to in Melbourne in February, it was talked about the dark sky situation in Western Australia. They've done a lot of work and they've done it in a different way. And a lot of it is coming from government rather than going to government. And the Western Australian Department of Environment have actually managed to get a statewide dark sky lighting policy approved because the department wanted it.
Yeah, so like I said, when the minister wrote back to the mayor, we were invited to a meeting with the department with Dew, SATC, Outback, and Overruler, and DC Yankalilla. And the idea was to sort of have that conversation about how we can work together to get the code amendment happening. And so obviously there was reference to what's happening in New South Wales with their planning policy as well as WA. So the fact that there is work that's been done in this space. So the response was, yes, it'd be great to do. How about this? We'll think about doing a budget bid for next year. So the work plan for the commission and department is still quite heavy around housing roadmap. That's where the government's priority is. And so at that moment they were sort of saying, yes, let's consider a budget bid for next year. So 26-27. What the department have given me is that they will provide me with the sort of what are the minimum investigations that the code amendment would require to be undertaken, and what minimum engagement for a consultant to do the work for us. Given that there are already some model schemes interstate, I said that the bulk of the work would be relatively easy. It's just about making it meet a design code requirements. So in that respect, it should be relatively easy. But it's just still engaging somebody to do that body of work.
It's gone out of my head. That's what I was going to say, is a lot of work's already been done, so you've kind of got a template to work with.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's really just pulling it all together in terms of the justification. And so that I said, when you do a code amendment, that you have to demonstrate how that code amendment meets the state planning policies. You need to demonstrate the justification for the need and what's intended. So what are the investigations that support that position as part of that code amendment? So that's the body of work that we've got to do and draw upon those interstate examples and overseas examples.
If housing is their priority, then street lighting is going to be part of that, isn't it?
Yes, well, this is the difficulty. So the other feedback is the fact that because it is their priority is housing, they don't necessarily want to put in policy that will constrain housing. And so from an industry perspective, the EDIA and the Property Council do not want to have further barriers to allowing housing to occur.
But
So
it's not stopping it.
no, I know, but
I know you know
no,
that.
I know. But it's an additional cost to them as well. That's what they would see it as.
It's a long-term saving.
Correct.
Sorry, don't you?
That's the, that's our own.
Yeah, I totally
It's doing
agree.
okay.
Go on,
That's
go on.
exactly the same point I'm trying to make. I mean, having survived the previous light we had in front of our place, where we had difficulty being able to make the place dark at night time for sleeping. Now it's great and it's cheaper to run. So I mean, why would that?
Yeah, so, well, like I said,
I know
you
you
go,
got that too,
this
but-
is where the lobbying advocacy that Zapier is doing is
Yeah.
quite pertinent because he's looking to change industry.
Excellent.
So the fact that through our LED rollout, we've been able to influence SA Power Network.
Absolutely, and I think the council should be applauded for that, and SA Power Networks, because 2 years ago they were absolutely not moving.
Yep.
There was one option, and it was
That's right.
not ours.
Yeah,
And they've completely shifted
yeah.
it.
And there's so much the fact that standard for 3,000 is not just for dark sky. They're going to try and roll it out
That's right.
statewide.
Exactly.
So that shows where lobbying and advocacy work. So with Zapier doing the same at a federal level, that influences the way then the industry will respond. So I think that's why it's important that we do have that support.
Yeah.
Fantastic. No, it's good outcome, definitely good outcome.
Oh, I think we're going in the right direction. I am concerned, for example, with the massive development down in Murray Bridge, the impact that could have.
Yeah.
It's going to double in size.
Yes. Yeah. So when we did write to Zapier, we provided him with a copy of the report that we did around other regulatory opportunities, which included amendments to the PDI Act as well. So that shows that those sorts of things that we are thinking beyond just paying policy, but looking at industry standards as well.
Excellent. Thank you both. I really appreciate the massive amount of work you've done on this. I know it's been a huge effort.
All right, now, priority 2, just up to there, I reckon, page 8 of the 5 successful projects, which is again good news, and a business case for the observatory planetarium again makes sense. So it was great to see John George's new telescope make a bit of headlines a couple of weeks ago. So that was, I think,
It's awesome. You have to see it. It's incredible.
it looks big.
It is big. It's enormous.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Don did a whole lot of work on that to make it happen.
Fantastic. Amazing. All right, let's set the standard.
What page are we on?
Page
8. All right. Any questions from any other people about these points? So far, so good. All right, we'll carry on. There's no points there. Now, I had a question on page 9. So priority 3. So council was successful in securing grant funding for the RPP program. And these funds were utilised to develop a business case, blah, blah, blah. But the governing body needs to be established to enable it to source and apply for grant funding. I'm not quite sure.
So that is for once the new governance structure has been established.
Yeah.
Be able to go out to source grant funding for potentially a construction of a planetarium observatory.
Yeah.
That's what you're needing in to be able to go, okay, we're shovel ready.
Yeah.
That this project is shovel ready. So as part of having the governance structure set up, having the branding strategy, the concept design and business case, costings with it, that's what we need to have established to be able to go, right,
All right.
this is what we are now ready. We've identified site, that's sorted, it's a shovel ready project. So once we have that all in play, that just makes that applying for any particular grant funding
No, it's fine.
easier.
I was just linking the two, what we're saying is for future grant funding.
Yes,
That's
correct.
not-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I was
Yeah.
I was probably just reading incorrectly. How you laid it out. So thank you, Joe, for that. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Any comments or questions to these points for anyone? Okay, very good. That champion done that one. All right, carry on. So Mount Barker, okay, so there's been contact made with Mount Barker DC.
Yeah.
About, potential effects on,
Has any approach been made to Murray Bridge as well?
Yes.
About the same?
Yes. Both Gary and I have met.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was actually on the back of one of their councillors raising it, and wanting to get a better understanding of the dark sky.
And I know the mayor was interested. in-
Yeah, Wayne's very proactive with it
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
and they're very supportive of it. And
So my understanding is that I don't know if they've progressed it, but the motion was to adopt a dark sky policy similar to ours.
Excellent,
Did that get up?
excellent.
I don't know where they're at with that, so I was going to say,
Yeah.
we'll double check, but the motion that was put forward by the elected member there at Murray Bridge was for council to investigate the option of dark sky policy in line with what we've done.
Wonderful.
Can
So
we,
that's what we've met with.
can we find out how that went?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I said,
Just let us
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, we'll give updates to that as soon as we know.
Strategically, that'd be a good move forward, wouldn't it?
As soon as we know, we update the report. Yeah.
If we could get all of the
Yes.
boundary councils, Barossa, for example, as well, on board, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so as part of the advocacy work, we're slowly working our way around.
And you say many hours in the day.
you look at the work that City of Salisbury have been doing with
Yeah.
changing their lighting over as well. I don't know what that's having the impact of the light spill coming over. I don't know.
My understanding is that it's very variable. Martin Lewicki, who's on Chris's committee, lives down there, and there's a big intersection on the main North Road with, well, the crossing, but he's not far from that, and he's been measuring these big increases in light intensity at night with the equipment he's got, and apparently it's a hell of a lot worse than it was a few years ago. So, but I know that there are areas that they're doing positive things, but for some reason or other, it doesn't spread. And maybe that's a question of the big intersections are probably a highways department state
Yeah.
thing
Would be, yeah.
rather than the back streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
But somebody, if they're really interested in doing the right thing, they ought to be getting through to the state.
I think that is the next step, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we can get the Department of Transport on board and say, there are dark sky options available. Because at the moment we've got SA Power Networks, that's fantastic, but they don't control all of the lines. The Department of Transport has a big say, and we haven't made any headway with them yet.
They're aware.
Yes.
And, where I'm going with it in terms of the freight route. And so we've reinforced the fact that, the Dark Sky Reserve is more than just around Swan Reach Conservation Park. Because that's the perception that the minister received from the department.
That's just where they're here.
Yes. So yes, by relying on the department's, website, they've sort of taken it as okay, it's just around the conservation park.
Yeah.
Therefore, the route is nowhere near the park.
Mm.
So we have highlighted the fact that yes, it's not the case.
Yes.
I was going to say about City of Salisbury is that I was talking to one of their officers. City of Salisbury actually does a little bit of housing development as well.
Oh,
And so as part of their growth, they are ensuring sustainable light practices as part of their estate development.
excellent.
Very good, all right. All right, Corey, thought we just covered that one.
I'm just wondering, Gary,
Yeah.
is it worth a motion that we write to all bordering councils? I think it was to Chris's point to just make sure they understand, and or is it a bit early for that?
Well, I think, in terms of the general advocacy work that Jared and I are doing, I think we can do that from an administrative point of view, not necessarily need a resolution of the committee. Obviously, with Murray Bridge already taking the proactive approach, we've already responded to Mount Barker. So I think in terms of writing to Barossa and the like, and even likes of Salisbury and Playford, I think we can do that. So we'll just make sure we do that as part of our ongoing advocacy work.
You should probably talk to Jake McVicker. He's a.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah.
He knows more about it than anybody.
Correct, exactly. So we're got an outlay there. Yes.
Very good, all right then. We'll move on. So I've got this is anything else before that, but attachment 7.1, page 11. That our visual identity testing survey. Jared, do you want to speak to that or?
Sure. So, well, Gary had more of an idea. So this is for, Gary drafted this,
Or Gary?
survey.
Yep.
Yes.
And.
Yeah, I can look. Yeah, it is a draft that was done at the time, but with the RPP funding for the Tourism Precinct Planning Project, it's now felt that this would be better suited to incorporate into whatever work that the consultants there will be doing. So we felt it was still worth presenting to the committee to make sure that you felt comfortable with the nature of the questioning.
Sure.
It may change, with feedback from the consultants when they do their engagement. But yes, the idea was just to present it to the committee on the back of the previous resolution of the committee. And so the fact that, we should market test any branding going forward.
All right. Are there any questions or comments to that?
When's that likely to happen?
We're working with the consultants for the tourism plan that they just submitted their draft sort of work program scheduling. There's a whole series of engagements across all 5 projects. They've acknowledged with the dark sky component that could be brought forward in terms of summertime. But I would say early in the new year would be the case, because now leading up to Christmas, we'll be doing no engagements. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Who is it going out to?
So it will be going out to the broad community, but we're also targeting key stakeholders as well.
Anyone outside the council area?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's, as broad as we can get it, in terms of the government agencies potentially as well. So, yeah.
Very good.
All right. Now, I think that brings us to item 7.2, page 17.
Excuse me, Andrew.
Seconded for that one.
Yeah,
We do, don't we? Yes, thank you.
we need a motion to receive that report.
You never miss a trick, may I? All right, can I have someone move and second that that report be received, please?
I'll move that.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah. Excellent. All right, done.
Sorry, who seconded? I have got my screen
Don.
off.
Don, yes.
Sorry,
Don?
Don, thank you.
All right, very good. All right, so provide the committee with an overview of the Mid-Murray Tourism Precinct Planning Project, and I'll hand it across to Gary or Jared to speak to this, please.
Yeah, this was just to give you just a bit more detail from the action plan just to give an indication on what the timelines are and the scope. Wax Design, TRC Tourism are the lead consultants for the project and supported by a series of other sub-consultants. I think the key thing to note here is that there is going to be extensive community engagement around each component of the projects. And I think the key is the First Nation consultation around the cultural mapping, which is a significant body of work that's going to underpin all the projects. And again, another reason why, for instance, the branding for the Dark Sky, we felt having that First Nations lens over was deeply important. So yeah, the engagement with First Nations across all those components will be a significant part of the project. Effectively, all the projects are more or less delivering master plans to be sort of shovel ready for future funding. With the Dark Sky Asset Tourism being the business case and concept design, which will also include site analysis.
Any questions or comments to that? Any member? All right, thanks, Graham.
Sorry, is there end date for them to
They need
finish
to,
this?
yeah, they need to finish it by March 27.
Okay.
So our funding requirements is that we deliver everything by then. So at this stage, their program, I think, was sort of just before that, just to give them sort of a bit of leeway. So yeah.
That's quite quick.
So the depth of the project.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so as part of the work plan is to ensure that they engage with all of the committees as they are, so the Dark Sky, the Maritime and the Strategic Growth Committee. They'll all be engaged in some capacity along the way.
Good. Fantastic, all right. Don't you say that cultural mapping, because that's a beast, that's a big job.
It is a big job.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a great thing to be doing. All right, we'll move on, so let's,
Move to the second, please.
yep, we'll do that.
This says March 2027.
Yeah.
Not 26.
Yeah,
Right,
27. 27.
Right. Okay, sorry, I was thinking in the next 3 months. That's all I'll work to do.
It's still about that. It's still about the Chris, you're not awake. Big lead that one.
Ignore him.
All right, I'll take a mover and a seconder, that report be received, please. Chris, hand up, I just scratched your head the wrong time, thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Is it, Mayor, thanks, Mayor Simone. All right, done. All right, move on to 7.3 Festivals Australia program, and again, thanks for the report, it's quite interesting. Jared or Gary, if you want to clarify the reports and speak to the report.
Yeah, I think it's just more just to let you know that this program actually is out there. And they operate 2 rounds per year. So next lot is scheduled for Feb next year. So yeah, we're just really wanting to try to get just some thoughts around potentially what possible projects that, you know, if the round comes available next year, what we can actually be ready to submit an application when it's open. So it's just more just to get an idea of what, you know, what sort of projects have been funded in the past, and yeah, what can we actually look at doing.
Can I suggest that someone has a little look at what has been going on the last couple of years in Western Australia? They seem to be ahead of the game in terms of their interactions with community through such activities, and I would suggest that probably half an hour on the internet looking at what they're doing will probably raise 3 or 4 good ideas that might be able to be translated into our situation with a little bit of modification.
I've got a contact over there, Carol Redford. She's been heavily involved in working out this. I've met several times. She's very open to supporting what they're doing and mutually supporting new stuff. So she's a fountain of information. The other thing is that I've been talking to the members and other people around the place about setting up a sort of working party to talk about the kinds of art works and events we might have happening in the area. So I'm beginning to do that sort of work already. That's just informal at the moment.
Yeah.
But as you know, my background is in the arts. So I've got a bit of experience and I want to draw in people from the community and from arts backgrounds to see what's feasible and what we can do step by step, not to do some huge thing all at once, but see how we can build this into something really big over time.
It makes sense. Any other questions or comments on 7.3? Anyone? Okay. Well, I'll get a move and a seconder to that report, please.
Oh, that may as well be me.
Go on, please. That's it. Anyone else? Who's going to the option?
Yeah.
All right, so thanks, Don. Chris and Don now, you've bought the house. All right, okay, so probably the big one, 7.4. Well,
I will hand this one to Gary.
All right. So yes, obviously there was a resolution by council to formally establish the NGO skill-based board for the ongoing management of the Dark Sky Reserve. So in order to progress that, we also have a constitution to register with the Consumer and Business Services. So there is a process there to do that. And part of that process is to appoint a public officer who then effectively handles all the administrative responsibility on behalf of the association to do so. To allow that is a draft constitution, because the basic process is that you get a group of like-minded people to say, hey, we want to establish an association, this is what we are establishing for, let's draft a constitution, let's appoint a public officer, large pay fees, and hopefully you get kicked off and then you're off and running. So the fact that we have an existing Section 41 Committee of Council, we have an existing Land Care Committee that have obviously a vested interest in the dark sky, we've got our group of people. So it really is just now about establishing the constitution, the rules and purpose to which it's established, and then the ongoing responsibility for managing the reserve and things associated with it. So to do that, the draft constitution that's attached to the agenda has been prepared, as I was about to explain to Andrew just before the meeting started. So draft constitution templates have been made available on the CBS website. We've used that as a guide. I've incorporated elements of the existing terms of reference of the Section 41 Committee, particularly around the objects of the association. And then obviously the powers are pretty much taken straight from the Act. Membership is an interesting one, and then there's elements around the board of directors and meeting requirements, establishment committees, etc. So it's fairly stock standard type template constitution. What I think is important, and again to signify, is that the constitution, not dissimilar to current committee's terms of reference. If you need to change the constitution terms of reference, we've got to go back to council. They need to adopt it, also, etc., before it becomes operational. If you want to amend or vary the constitution, you have to hold an annual general meeting, then you have to lodge it with CBS, etc., etc. So there is a process. So the logic is to try to put only essentials into the constitution that would require the members to vote on to amend. Anything else you put in regulation. So in that way, the board can actually determine its own way it wishes to operate.
Yeah.
So the logic there, for example, in the regulations here, is that the elected directors, so how they are nominated and how they are, what nomination form process is and how they're elected. You can put other things. You can actually put meeting procedures into your regulations. You can put in how many members constitute the association into your regulation. So anything that must be varied, you know, between annual general meetings, you would try to put into your regulations. So that's how we've sort of structured it as a concept. There's probably a few things in the constitution that could go into regulations as it stands now. As it's recommended in the report, we want to put this through legal review before we submit it to CBS. CBS will ultimately have their own comments and feedback before they approve the constitution and associated documentation. I think the key element here, because the constitution is a pretty stock standard, is the transitional provisions, which are on page 14 of the agenda, which is clause 20. So when we sort of spoke about we're effectively dissolving the Section 41 committee and establishing a new board, part of that then is there's a potential gap. So the suggestion being is that the transitional provisions are that this committee and its members are the new members of the association and are the new elected directors of the board. With certain considerations around the elected member representation from council. So the suggestion is that the board is made up of 5 directors, 2 appointed directors, and a representative of the Mid-Murray Council. So going forward, they would have 8 directors sitting on the new board. So current Section 41 committee would effectively become those elected directors, with the council having the council representative. Then you would have 2 vacancies of the appointed director. So effectively then for the first 12 months, this committee in its new hat would continue as the new association board. And then you would have your first annual general meeting next year or whatever, or year after, sorry, of the appointment, of which you'll then have half the board retire, and then they can re-nominate, and then you have elections to nominate your board going forward. So that's the concept, and council would maintain representation on the board by virtue of that representative for the term of the council. So council would nominate after each election a person, be it elected member or staff member, to sit on that board as a representative. So that's the suggested format.
What's the current makeup of the Section 41 committee? Is there any requirement, for example, to have a Mid-Murray Landcare member of this committee? Because there's no mention of Mid-Murray Landcare, and this has to be the only concern I've got. Because at the moment, Mid-Murray Landcare is the legal entity responsible for the Dark Sky Reserve.
So what we were, Jared and I were thinking is with the establishment committees, you would have one of your committees.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The Scientific Advisory Committee.
Oh, okay.
Which would probably be your
Landcare committee. Well, it might be our Dark Sky committee, mightn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, leaving the board to have that flexibility of what it decides it wants to do. So basically, so it's like it has to have a finance audit risk committee type thing. It needs a governance, probably needs a community engagement committee. So the board can establish any committee it wishes. The only one we're saying that is mandatory is the finance audit committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They won't have much to do.
Not initially, not initially, maybe.
Hopefully they'll get busy over the years.
Yeah, there was a body of work I think you undertook a few months ago now, might be a bit longer, to seek out or target people who maybe should be part of the ongoing board.
Yeah,
You want to just briefly chat about that?
That was
Not much success? Or?
we haven't approached.
Oh,
No, that was purely around identifying, trying to identify particular skills that we thought this board needed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's where the appointed directors come in.
Yeah.
So then, the board will say, okay, we really want someone representing
Director.
finance or education, and so you go and approach somebody to be the appointed director. So
I did think that it also had something to do with the the governor's interest in, their offer. I imagine I wasn't there, but, governor's offer to host an event to try and get some well-heeled people
Yeah.
who might be willing to stump up some of the necessary.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
again, I think timing
That was part of
wise,
the reasoning.
yeah, so I think timing wise, if we get this happening, you know, sometime in the year as a launch of the association, that's where maybe the governor could come back into the conversation in terms of inviting the right people, in terms of being members
Yes.
and or supporters and or appointed directors. So I think in terms of timing, we make sure we sort of keep that communication with the governor's office.
It's the only,
Sorry, I think the governor wanted to be a patron or something.
Yes, so I have allowed for patron and vice patron clause in here.
yes, she was very keen.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only concern I have at the moment is, as I said, Mid Maryland has the entity that's legally responsible. How do you transfer that to this committee? How would we do that? What's
One is to then, one of two things is add them to the composition of the board as a formal representative.
Yeah.
And or the committee establishment. So I'm happy to take direction of which direction you would like that to go. We can make that additional board position.
I think we need to talk about it at
Yeah.
the next Mid Maryland Care meeting
Yeah.
and see what people think.
Yep.
Chris,
So,
Ros is on that committee. She may have some thoughts.
Not just at the moment, Chris.
Chris,
No.
do you know if that responsibility can be transferred over to the new committee?
It can.
Okay, you can do it.
I don't know.
so how is
I
it?
think we would need,
I would think.
I would
Could
think
you
it
just
can
let,
be.
let the association know that there's been the establishment of this board who are taking on these
Yeah.
responsibilities. Here's the constitution, here's the membership, and then now we would like the license or the accreditation to be transferred to them.
Yeah, I think
would
it would need, we'd need to inform Dark Sky International.
if they can register Palm Beach.
Surely it would be similar to us with council owning the IP for 21.9 branding strategy. We would have to hand over all of that to this new board.
Yeah,
So at the moment, we've got obviously the objects associated, which are literally, I think, not close to being the same words or similar words to what's in the terms of reference for this committee. So first one is ensuring the ongoing and annual accreditation of the reserve.
yeah,
So board is responsible for that.
yes.
Now, whether that's through, obviously at the moment, it's through the land care, it's doing that. So
Yeah, I was thinking about along similar
Yeah.
lines because it could be that this board simply says, "Oh, Mid Maryland Care, could you please do this?" And like the
Well,
darkness
it's your
readings
committee
and
that
stuff
does
like
it
that.
anyway. It's your committee that does it anyway,
Exactly.
not the land care committee.
Yeah, that's right. It's sort of subcontracting that work, if you like.
Yeah. So like I said, so there's two ways of doing it. One is through the board of directors or one is through the community structure. So I think there's enough flexibility. But yeah, if you want to, flexibility, I think in the committee, but if you want that formal representation at board level, then we'll probably have to add that as a part of the composition of the board.
I think it would be
Yeah.
a good thing.
So, like I said, the intention at this stage is for this committee to recommend to council to seek the legal review and see with the process. And once we've got that legal review, we will lodge it with CBS. So we've got time to make some changes to it if that's where you want to go.
That personally, I would like to see that, yeah.
But Chris, how is Amy employed?
She's employed by Mid Maryland Care Incorporated.
So that would her employment transfer across. So
No, no, Mid Maryland Care is completely separate.
okay.
But the responsibility for reporting on the Dark Sky Reserve at the moment is Mid Maryland Care SA.
Yeah.
it would be handing that over to this committee, not transferring Amy or anything else.
No.
Just reporting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, your treasurer position will become rather busy, yes. Yeah. All right. Any questions or comments to this matter so far, for anyone? Okay. Well, if that's the case, there's a two-part recommendation on page somewhere, back up here.
24th.
Page 20. Right, yeah. Okay, well, if there's no amendments to these two recommendations, can I have a mover and second, please?
Does the potential change have to be implemented before this committee can accept it?
Sorry.
Does the potential change of adding an extra director to the constitution have to be implemented before this committee can make a recommendation to council?
Well, the committee's making a recommendation to submit that for review. So as part of the review, we can, consider the additional member.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll move that.
Oh,
Thank you,
Councillor,
Bruce.
Councillor Schultz had her hand up to move the motion.
Oh, sorry, my apologies, also,
I'll
Councillor
second it.
Councillor Watts, thank you. And Chris, you can second, thank you very much. All right, then, we'll move on. Page. Oh, it's the constitution there, bear with me. And we have
Page 37.
Page 30, sorry.
47.
Oh, right, the end of it there, okay, so let's just do that, then there's a lot to go. Oops. No, it's not working either, okay, just bear with me. Okay, that's not an ending, why, oh, that's, this is good, excuse me. That's better, oh, go on.
They move around fast enough.
Sorry, yeah, no, this one's just,
There you go.
all right. Point out, do we have any questions for that notice?
I have one.
Chris?
I've been looking at the acknowledgement of country that opens these meetings, and I wonder if we may be able to add "and skies" to that.
That makes sense.
And borders and skies.
That was
Relevant.
be part of their stories.
Absolutely, that's what I'm suggesting.
I've definitely seen that before. I do think there's a bit of a history where our acknowledgement came from. It was part of the development of the Reconciliation Action Plan. So we'd probably have to just check that with the traditional owners just to make sure.
Yes, of course, yeah, I would expect that.
Well, do you want to propose a motion with that notice, Chris, to that effect?
Yeah, well, basically what I said, that we add the two words "and skies" to the acknowledgement of country at council meetings. That makes sense. That all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone hear that okay? What the intent was there?
Can we add just subject to?
Subject to,
Engage First Nations.
exactly,
Yep.
yeah.
I seconded that motion for that notice, please. Roddy? One
Second.
Tom, all right, thank you. You saved the day again. Very good, all right. Thanks, all right. Any other questions about notice?
I don't know if it's a question, but I'd like to, I guess, table or present a letter that I received from them Minister for Infrastructure and Transport regarding the freight bypass. I'm extremely concerned that that's a threat to the Dark Sky Reserve. I think the committee should be aware of what's in the document. I think there are several possible opportunities to discuss it further. One paragraph says, the department is committed to minimising environmental and community impacts and will work with the community to understand their specific concerns and issues throughout the planning process. So I reckon that means they're at least willing to talk to us. So I think we should make it.
I think you're optimistic, but anyway.
Yeah, I am an optimist. I always have been, but yeah, I was searching for something in this that didn't say just no. And I think, you know, there is an effort, but what concerns me is that they've only looked at what the current traffic is on this road, 400 to 700 vehicles per day, whereas Sturt Highway 3,600. So they're saying it's a piddling amount, don't worry about it. And Sturt Highway goes through the reserve anyway. But that's going to more than double. And that creates a serious issue, not just for the Dark Sky Reserve, but the school is extremely concerned about the safety of their students. And that's a serious issue. It's the letter is very clear that the bypass will go through Canberra and Sedan. It is not bypassing those townships, it's going straight through.
Oh, okay.
It says straight through. So it's absolutely clear, and that is a serious danger for all sorts of reasons, you know.
About one truck every 90.
Yeah, we've got it
Yeah.
easily.
So I don't think they've addressed the issue. I'm going to respond to that. But I wanted them to be aware of it. And
The reason why I think it's going to be hard is because you can see this has been written by people within the department that have been involved in this up to their eyeballs for a long time.
oh, I know that.
And they don't want any obstructions.
Yeah.
Some of their little statements about, you know, they're interested in road safety, that's why they want bigger trucks, so that there's less of them. I mean, I'm a pretty old guy and I see the trucks getting bigger and bigger. And I don't see them getting less and less, I see more and more. I used to see these compliance stations all over the place where they used to stop the trucks for a wave and come about overweight. We never see them being used anymore. Every now and then they have a little splurge and they find maybe 30% of them haven't got brakes and they're working properly and things like that. There's a little stir up and it all goes away. So, I mean, that's an old bloke talking here, but clearly I agree it's a disappointing response. And
She's only been in the position since September.
yeah, I don't blame the minister. I think
This is clearly
down in the engine room, really.
Yeah.
So,
I know the council is in a difficult position, but I wanted you to be aware of it.
Oh, we're well aware.
Yeah, I know.
CEO, the Infrastructure Services Director, also met with representatives of DIT. And obviously that letter was raised in part of the conversation. So, obviously they're out here to tell us that they're about to do the planning process again, but about to engage with the community again. So, and it's obviously three key elements in this project. There's the Truro component, there's the obviously the Great Route, and then there's the Swansea Bridge.
Yes.
So there's those three key elements, and they're doing it engaged across all three projects. And yeah, so they're obviously out there to talk to the community. So they'll, hopefully there's an opportunity for all community and council to raise concerns around elements of the project.
Do you know when that's going to?
I think it's sort of in the new year. I recall from my notes. And again, part of that process is around consultation with First Nations, so that's part of the process as well. And I didn't actually sort of capture where it was, but basically, yeah, I'll say the new year. Very keen.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, this letter, so that was written from the Land Care Group.
This was, yeah, written by me as chair of Mid-Murray Land Care SA.
All right, do you want to move that that's included in the minutes to this meeting? So that we can all have a read of it?
Okay,
That's, yep, that's tabled in.
yes, I'll move that.
Requests. Mel, is that okay with you that we include the response? Or do you need a motion to that effect?
We'll just
Okay, I think
circulate it.
it's a question without notice. I was just reading through the meeting procedure.
I would
It's
just
not a
take,
question. Oh.
I'll just take it that we'll circulate that as an action.
Okay,
Okay.
rather than a resolution.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
keep it simple. Thank you for raising it, Chris. All right,
I have one other thing.
well, very good. You're on a roll, young man.
I would like this committee to acknowledge the extraordinary efforts of John George and all of the technical people who've made the telescope a reality, the observatory at Swan Reach. It's an incredible achievement, an amazing investment, and an extraordinary gift to the community. It really is.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
All right, we're moving that way. It will,
Yeah. If you can,
so we'll make a note of acknowledgement there.
what I said. Yeah, I just like, I think it's important to acknowledge something so huge. That's a massive contribution to the Dark Sky Reserve, and that's going to be there for generations.
All right. Good, seconded for that, please. We'll acknowledge that.
I can't really do it because I'm
You're one of them.
one.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah.
Anybody else like to second this? Thank you, Ross, councillor Ross. Very good. Now, we have no confidential reports. Our next meeting will be 24th of February 2026. Thanks everyone for your attendance today. Appreciate it. And we'll close the meeting. Thanks. Good on you. All right.
Thanks, Andy.